All right. Leisure Hive is the beginning of the end for the Fourth Doctor. And John Nathan Turner had taken over completely here, and he wanted to make damn sure you knew it. So the whole look and sound of Doctor Who changed rather dramatically. And it's always funny, it's so long ago, and yet every time I see it, I think, oh, this is the new Doctor Who. Of course, it does show its age. But the opening, you know, I have a love-hate thing for it. Sort of mixed feelings about it. There's just something so very cool about the original Doctor Who theme, and I think it really came together in Baker and Pertwee's eras, and especially with you get that vortex look to it and everything for as far as visuals go. But the sound of it that Delia Derbyshire achieved, Ron Grainer wrote, the song, the melody, or what have you, but she performed that and came up with this very bizarre and alien sound that she, created over at the BBC, what was it called? Radiophonic Workshop. And, and she had to do that from the ground up, when you consider today, wow, anybody with a computer and audio software, yeah, you can do all kinds of crazy crap, but she didn't have any of that, and plus she just had the coolest damn name ever. She sounds like a fairy tale character of some sort. Unfortunately, her life was didn't turn out so great. She had a lot of demons and whatnot. And sadly, only in later years did she get any recognition for it. They now, I was noticing when I was doing The Power of the Dialects, they did include her in the credits. But I would have tried to have kept most of that. I suppose they could amp it up a little here and there, rather than just completely abandon it. And even though there's a couple of the New Who themes, like David Tennant's is probably my favorite of the bunch. Although I'll have to hand it, this is the one big plus for Jodies Era, is that's pretty damn good. I don't care for the guy's music, for the incidental music for the episodes. It's just all a bunch of like ASMR ambient style sounding stuff, to put you to sleep. But the song in the opening is a bit more reminiscent of classic Who than any of the others, but that's the only thing. But this moment here where it's just completely abandoned for this, for the time, the fresh, new, and hip sounds, trying to sound like Pink Floyd or something, it grew on me. I like it better than the one when they abandoned that one for Sylvester McCoy's theme, which I don't like that one at all. The only other one that really annoys me is, even though Peter Capaldi is my favorite of the New Who's, I don't like his theme song. It just sounds like a bunch of cats being tortured. But it's kind of a sad thing that I would have thought someone to experiment with it and keep most of what Derbyshire had done and maybe add a few things to it to sort of change it here and there, and to have that sort of weird alien sound to it. Instead, it's it's synthesizers and guitars on the new one, but it is what it is. But in keeping with how things happen with Pertwee, where his final season you get the vortex, and it's sort of hearkening the approach of the new Doctor, if you will, and then of course it became the signature of Tom Baker's era. And now we're getting close to Davidson's era. So now it's this outer space scene, which is it looks very good. And the new logo and all that stuff. But it seems, and at the time when I was seeing it for the first time, I thought, oh, this is, not at the first time. When I got to see Pertwee, I didn't understand this much later. And I saw, oh, look at that. Pertwee's opening changed to the one like Tom Baker's. And I guess that's what they do for the final season of a Doctor. They change it for the next one coming. And it just happened that way. So that's the first thing you get. Then the show opens, and you get to see the Doctor in a new outfit. And although the worst of the 80s Doctor Who outfits is poor Colin Baker, this one for Tom Baker is a bit out of character. It's sort of, even though his outfit is already a bit bizarre and you can't help but notice it, it's not a total exaggeration as this one is. And I don't know why the multicolored scarf was abandoned for one that isn't. Just so that, like the idea that the Fourth Doctor would think he wants to have a monochromatic color scheme for his outfit. I just didn't see him as the guy who thinks that through, So, I mean, some elements of it, the coat, I guess, and keep for the most part what he had left, but also in the idea that, because one of the aspects of it was very much like Pertwee as well, as his Doctor would change clothes. Sometimes he had the brown, light brown coat, or gray coat, and then the dark one, and that sort of thing. And it changed over the years. But here, for the rest of the season, he's in the same. Ramanna changes often, but not the boy. I mean, maybe he had several outfits, or he washes them in between when he's in the shower, in the TARDIS. I don't know, but he's just wearing the same thing. There was some elements of it, now that I'm looking at it in this first episode, was, the collars, which they introduced this, the question marks. Again, it's Doctor Who, not the Riddler, but there they are. And again, he wouldn't do that. But the shape of the collars is very odd, and I'm not familiar with any Earth-bound styles of that. So I suppose this could suggest that this is an alien outfit that he found, which is something I always wondered about Doctor Who, if they would give him a jacket or a coat or something that just has some sort of bizarre designs to it that you're not going to find anywhere on Earth. He got it because he regenerated on some alien planet. He comes up with an outfit for what he happens to find there and takes to it. But so even the coat is kind of odd in its appearance and whatnot. The rest of it, not so much. Now the little pants, again, not really buying that he would do that. And that's completely John Nathan Turner wanting that outfit. Later on, as I believe it, that Tom Baker didn't care to be on location and stuff wearing the shoes and whatnot. He preferred the boots. It's just, I guess, easier to get around and whatnot. I can't remember exactly what, or perhaps he just preferred the look of it. And he's right. It does look better. It's odd because when he finally does regenerate to Peter Davison, the shoes magically return. So, once again, the Doctor's clothes regenerate with him, sort of. But, well, whatever. So there we go. We get that. However, the first episode in this bold, new, and improved look for Doctor Who is rather cheap. I mean, it's all soundstage and very claustrophobic, and yet the premise of this, even though it's a devastated planet from a war, it's supposed to be this, vacation resort. Why would you want a vacation there? And he's like, they've got this sort of alternate realities where you can, play squash in zero gravity or what have you, which is just some loop they did. And that doesn't come together great, because there's a moment where the Doctor and Ramanna are trying to escape security, and they float through it, but it doesn't look that great. So the planets are goalless. They had this battle with the Fomasi, which they say are reptilians, and when you finally see them, to some extent, but they look more bug-like, and they even sound bug-like. So I don't know, maybe they're a hybrid species of insects and lizards, which is odd because lizards sure love to eat insects. But anyway, that's the enemy they had at one point, but now the result is they're all sterile and they can't produce anymore. But basically what they've done, spoiler, Pangle, the youngest of the group, and he's like, hey, how can he be so young they can't produce anymore? Well, their little what is, I can't remember what they called it, the tachyon generator. He cloned. They created a clone, and now he's figured out how to do it to himself over and over again so he can have a new army. He wants to go to war and all this stuff with his Dr. Fate helmet. That's what it looks like. But meanwhile, there's a murder mystery, and you've got some bad Formasi and some good Formasi. But the good Formasi, who are apparently police detectives from the Formasi government, forgot to bring their personal translators, so no one can understand them. But the bad guys had it, and they're disguised as humans. How they were able to shove those lizard bug bodies inside those human bodies, I don't know, but they did. They really sucked their guts in. And so the whole plot's revealed, and they were trying to buy the planet, fool the Argolians to sell off their property to them, all this stuff. But, well, it didn't happen. Meanwhile, this human guy who apparently has quite the thing for the matriarch of the Argolians. That's the vibe I got. Is offered that you can achieve rejuvenation through manipulation of time within the generator. Of course, he was close, but he couldn't figure it out, so he faked it, and that's kind of a scandal. But of course, once again, very much like in the City of Death, Ramanna helps him out. And it works. Yeah, there's some repetition here of other elements from other shows and whatnot. So then there's an incident where they tested out of the doctor, and then he's aged. Of course, he's Time Lord, so it ages him 500 years. So he's really old. But of course, if they couldn't figure out a way to fix that, he could have just regenerated. But they never mentioned that. But well, he could have. Of course, K9's not in the episode because Ramanna threw a ball at the water and then forgot to think, oh, wait, he probably shouldn't do that. But too late, he blows up. So that got him out of the way because they just, in that claustrophobic set, they just didn't have time for any K9 stuff. So, yeah, but at least he got his voice back, so that's something. So anyway, Pangol... but it's kind of odd. The doctor went into the generator, and Pangol says, good. And then he goes in to clone himself, but then with the doctor involved in it, he doesn't catch on that that's going to cause problems. And of course it does. All the copies are really the doctor, not Pangol, and they're unstable, so they all just evaporate, except for the real doctor, who is rejuvenated. So there you go. He's back to his normal self, and everything's fine. And yeah, that's about it. Pangol is turned into a baby. The matriarch lady, whose name I forget, she is restored to her youth, and she decides, well, this time I'll raise him again. Try to do a better job. He's already crying and pissed off about it, but, well, good luck for that. The other elements that repeat from earlier Doctor Who, the communication thing, like, that they needed one or the other, and I'm forgetting the episode now. The big green thing that was underground. And then Robots of Death, where you had a secret agent amongst the robots, and here you have a secret agent amongst the Formasi or whatever. Stuff like that, but, that's a bit nitpicking anyway. It doesn't really matter. It's just, as their economy was now based on providing entertainment and for vacationers and whatnot, and I'm not seeing it. And it's because I guess they just couldn't. So, I maybe should have tried something else. I don't know. But anyway, kind of off to a lackluster start per se, but a lot of it just seemed to be, look, it's all new and stuff, But anyway, there you go. Some have looked at this as it's you get into themes of entropy and that it's a darker era because the Doctor is on his way out. I suppose if this was the New Who era, he would be getting prophetic clues about his impending doom, stuff like that. But then here is the notions of death and rejuvenation, and all that. So I suppose you could throw that in there as the elements foretelling the fate of the Fourth Doctor. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.